class.
I'll give a short mandala offering before we start the class.
Yeah. Chanam lo chanjo bardo lo ye jenzo yebe sonamangi Galam tenche kanje dromo Oye kanamo Mandala.
I'm sorry, I don't know why I can.
Not that one.
This the
Oh yeah, yeah. This is the one. Yes. Mendo Dharma Jera Denxie Ninde Genbo De Zangye Zhendo Meide Bewo Namda Jebara Jo Dharma Guru Ran Mendala Gamne Yandara Ya So please welcome everyone, and please listen to the following teaching with proper motivation. The proper motivation being the intention to listen to this teaching so that one can put this into practice, and by putting this into practice, one can benefit oneself as well as others. So please listen to the following teachings with such proper motivations. Oh, yeah. So those of you who have been continuously following the teaching, we are going through this the teaching called the Precious Garland of the Supreme Path by Master Gampopa, or Nyame Tapolhaje, the doctor. So far we have there are 28 28 sets of 10 instructions, so making it 280 instructions. So far we have covered, I think, 17 of them. 16, I think so far we have covered up to 16 of them. And the first division of which is the 10 10 things that is that would be an inconsiderable loss. 10 things that has been covered, and now we have been going through the 10 things that we need to 10 necessary things. So we have been going through these, and so far we have covered 6 of the 10 necessary things since last week. So we will try to go as much as we can for today's lessons. So now we will go through the so for the 10 needful instructions, we have covered 6 of them. So the 7th of which is to not to be attached, not to have craving towards one's own views or studies or practice or philosophy. Because if one has attachment towards a certain practice, then one gets stuck into that practice, and because of that, one will not be able to improve any further. So because like any practices, any ordinary practices, I'm not talking about Dharma practices. Like for example, if you are learning a new skill set, a new language or a cooking skill or whatever. The more you learn, the more you study them, the more you study them, the longer you study them, it becomes much easier and familiar for you to practice or to do such a thing, which is the same thing in the spiritual sphere, in the spiritual field as well. So the more you practice, the easier and familiar that practice becomes to you. And the problem with this, I mean, it all looks very good from a beginner's point of view. It's a very good progress, or it's a very good thing. But then if you keep doing the things that you are familiar with, and if you keep doing the things that you are most comfortable with, then you will never keep progressing. So whatever you have been doing comes much easily. Let's say you were able to meditate Buddha's image for like the 5 minutes, and so you were able to do meditation of Buddha's image for 5 minutes, and it's a very peaceful, serene moment of meditation, and you really enjoy the concentrative moments, and then you like to do that, and you always keep doing that, and nothing else, nothing more. If you get attached to that kind of meditative equipoise, even though meditative equipoise is a good thing, but if you get stuck in that, if you are attached to that practice, then you get stuck there and you never progress further. So therefore, it is important not to be stuck with any kind of practices, even though one has to have due diligence and study whatever any Dhamma Sutra, Dhamma scriptures and practices, but one should not be too attached to that particular practice so that one is stuck there and cannot move forward. So this is what we are talking about in the 7th instruction. So that is the 7th instruction, and so if you read the line, it says there at the end, it is necessary to be without attachment and craving of conduct, and not to entrust the nose rope in the hand of other. So this is so nose rope is, you see animals having being hooked with a ring, like for example, like buffaloes and cows, they have a ring. I don't know if it's called a ring or not. They have this ring on their nose, and then the owner of the animal, like buffalo or cow, they usually hook a rope on that ring, and then the owner can take that animal wherever they want to take them. So this means the animal is so a domesticated animal has no control over where to go or what to do. it has to, wherever the owner of the animal leads them, the animal has to follow. So here, what we are talking, so this is the example given, this is the simile given. So when you have once you are attached to a particular practice, once you have attachment towards a particular practice, once you have attachment towards a particular practice, as I mentioned earlier, in a meditation or something like that, or in once, what happens is you get comfortable within that practice and you feel like this is the one. And so because of that, you feel like the organization or the fellowship which teaches this particular practice. So I'm talking about different kind of traditions, like, different sects, different traditions, different schools. So because one likes particular practice, one is comfortable with a particular practice, one becomes too attached with a particular group of Dharma, particular Dharma group in a sense of like, one gets attached, stuck with one particular group, one particular tradition, and then one would not move, one would not budge. And whenever someone else offers a better or alternative solution for your progress, spiritual progress, you would brush it off, thinking this, I'm so comfortable with the practice that I'm doing. I don't need anything more. So it is easy to be led by such delusions, similar to an animal being led by its owner. So this is the seventh instruction, and now we will move to the eighth instruction. So that is, it is necessary to always be diligent in gathering the true accumulations of merits by practicing the preparatory performances and dedication from the core of the heart. So that is the eighth line. So we will go into this now. So it is important to have due diligence towards accumulating the two merits. The two accumulations, the accumulation of merit and the accumulation of wisdom. And without the accumulations of accumulating wisdom, the merit, accumulating merit and accumulating wisdom, both are important. Both are integrally important, and when one is accumulating both of the merit and the wisdom, one has also to keep in mind the three practices, or the three things, the three necessities, which is the preparedness or preparation, or so we literally call them the preparation, the actual, and the conclusion. So preparation, we are talking about the intention or motivation, like we did the Sangye Chodang Soge Chodang Lat when we begin this practice. So this is the preparation or the motivation. So this is what we do in the beginning, and then during the actual practices, whether it's a prostration or making an offering or reading a book, there are things to be mindful of, be aware of. And then at the end of whatever practice that you do, whether reciting a mantra or meditating or prostrating or making offering, at the end there is a concluding thing to do. So preparatory, actual, and concluding. So these three has to be accompanied with every practices. So if these three are not proper, if you don't have a proper preparation, if you don't have the proper actual practice, or if you don't have the actual mindset, and if you don't have the proper conclusion, then whatever practice that you do may not become even if it's a good practice, it will not necessarily become a complete set of practice. Oh yeah, thank you. So now I mentioned the three practices, or the three things that one needs to be mindful during one's practice. So the preparation, or the preparatory mindset is there is the preparatory mindset, the actual mindset, and the concluding mindset. So the preparatory, so it can be referred to different kind of things in different contexts. But here in this practice, when we say preparation or preparatory mindset, we are talking about the mindset of the body mindset, the mindset of bodhicitta, the mindset of a bodhisattva, the bodhicitta, in the sense that one wishes to accomplish complete Buddhahood, that one wishes to attain complete Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings by doing this or that particular practice. So it can be prostration, it can be reading a book, it can be any spiritual Dharma practice. So at the beginning of doing that particular practice, it's important that one is mindful of keeping the one should be mindful of taking this particular mindset of doing this particular practice for the sake of all sentient beings. So that's why whenever we do a short practice, we always say Sangye Chotam Phagye Chonamla. That's why important, because we do it for the sake of others. Then, so this is the preparatory mindset. Oh yeah. Now, the second one is the actual mindset. So actual mindset is what it means is during the actual practices, as I mentioned earlier, whether you are practicing whatever practice you are doing, the reciting mantra or whatever you are doing, it is important to be mindful of keeping an understanding that whatever practice that you are doing doesn't have an inherent nature or inherent existence of its own. So, I mean, for example, if you are doing a meditation on a Buddha's image or a Buddha's figure, of course, your main mindset, your mind will be primarily, your mind will primarily focused upon the image of the Buddha. But from the corner of your mind, you should also be aware of the fact that the Buddha's image that I'm visualizing, that I'm seeing, doesn't have any inherent existence of its own, inherent nature of its own. So this is this is called the actual mindset. So the actual mindset should be the mindset of emptiness, mindset of understanding the emptiness, so that whatever practice that you are doing, as much faith as you have in the practice, as much diligence you are paying into that practice, but at the same time, from the corner of your mind, you know that all those practices are doesn't have any inherent existence, and it's merely a label. So this is so understanding that doesn't have an inherent existence, but it's merely labeled as such and such. So this is called the understanding of emptiness, or mindset of emptiness. So this is where the actual mindset comes in. So this is the second one. Yeah. So the third one is the conclusion, and by conclusion we mean so normally when we talk about the three mindset, we call it the preparatory, the actual, and the concluding, right? Preparatory mindset, actual mindset, and the concluding mindset. So when we say concluding mindset, conclusion, we are talking about the dedication here. So it should be dedicated again. It should be dedicated for the sake of all sentient beings, with all the the merits that has been accumulated by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the past. So this is like making an investment into the world's largest infallible bank. So when you make when you make an investment with a so normally when you make an investment with a bank or a company, uh, as much as the wealth of that bank or company grows, your investment, the investment that you made into that particular firm grows as well. So similarly, when you dedicate it with all the merits that have been accumulated by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, which is similar to an infallible bank of merit, so whatever merit that you have accumulated also stays intact, so it is no longer destroyed. Otherwise, if you fail to dedicate your merits, what happens is there are moments of um, afflictive emotions, instances of afflictive emotions arising in our mindset, like anger, hatred, jealousy, blah, 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 all those things. When such mindsets arise, whatever merits that you have accumulated gets robbed. Like if you keep a valuable thing at your home and a robber comes in, a thief comes in and it gets taken away by those thieves. But on the other hand, if you dedicate or if you deposit it with a very with an infallible bank or with a large firm, then it's heavily guarded and no thief or no robber can steal it. So similarly, when you dedicate it with all the merits that has been accumulated by the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, then it's stored there safely, securely. So that is why we do the dedication. It's very important. So so that concludes the eighth instruction. Now we will move to the ninth instruction and just read it briefly. So it is necessary that one turns one's mind to benefit sentient beings both directly and indirectly with loving kindness and compassion. So so the ninth instruction is a reminder that whatever practice that we are doing, it should be of benefit towards sentient beings. So this is, in other words, this is a reminder for in other words, this is a reminder for us not to be selfish. So it has to be that whatever Dharma practice which we do, no matter how profound the practice is, if we do it with a selfish thought, then the profundity of that particular practice does not have that much of an effect for our spiritual progress. Not to mention being unethical and all. So it's important, whatever practice that you do, it should be directed towards helping sentient beings for the sake of other sentient beings, mother sentient beings. So this is the gist of what the ninth instruction is all about. Whatever we do, we should do it for the sake of mother sentient beings. So this is that is the ninth instruction. Now we will move to the 10th instruction. So just read briefly from the book. It is necessary that one should not mistake all things to be substantial and inherently existing, so that they furnish essential characteristics through the possession of knowledge, understanding, and realization. So what we are talking about here is that one should be So the last two, the ninth and the 10th, we are talking about the wisdom and the compassion here. So whatever practice that we do, it's important to be mindful that you are doing it for the sake of others. You should be compassionate with compassionate thoughts. You are doing it for the sake of others, which this is the compassion part. Then the wisdom part is that you should also be mindful that whatever practice that you are doing, the practice itself, the object of the practice, for example, if you are doing a meditation, the meditation itself and the object of the meditation that you are concentrating on, or so any practices, whether the place that you are doing that practices, the people that you are doing the practices with, the time that you are doing the practices upon, and the subject of the practice or of the meditation, whatever it is, none of them has an inherent existence. None of them have a substantial a substantial existence of its own. So whatever they seem to be, whatever they appear to be, whatever they even the practices, even the good things, even Buddha himself, even the bodhisattvas, even compassion, even understanding of emptiness itself, none of them have inherent existence. None of them exist in that sense. None of them exist truthfully or realistically. Realistically, in the sense that they have an existence of its own. Whatever we see, whatever we feel, whatever we hear is merely a label that we put upon the objects themselves, upon the objects rather than the objects themselves appearing or forming substantially on its own. So this is in a nutshell, this is called the understanding of emptiness. So one should be, I mean, the profundity of one's understanding of emptiness varies person to person upon your practices, but one should have a minimal understanding of emptiness, and this should be kept in check every time you do your practices. But that is the 10th instruction. So the next is now this is known as the 10 things one should be heedful of. One should be depending upon, or one should be heedful towards. So the translation of the book, there may be some fluctuations. So I would rather say 10 things that one should be heedful of. So one should be paying attention towards, or one should be something 10 things that is necessary for one's practice, 10 things that is necessary for you to pay heed towards. So the first one of which is to so it says one should take refuge in a holy guru who possesses supreme knowledge and compassion. So again, I think there is a little bit some fluctuations in the translation here. So it should be one should rely on a teacher. One should take refuge in a teacher, holy teacher, or rely upon a teacher who has complete who possesses a superior, it says knowledge here, but it should be superior experience, of course through knowledge, but it should be a superior experience of superior spiritual experiences. So in other words, a realized master. So when one takes a master, the master should be someone who has a realization of some kind. And so having a knowledgeable teacher, having a teacher who has gained realization, having a superior teacher alone is not enough. That teacher should be kind enough to teach you, to guide you, to be patient with you as well. Because if the teacher, again, here comes the wisdom and compassion here again. So a teacher can be, a person, someone can be very scholarly, very knowledgeable person, but that person may not have tamed his or her own mindset, and therefore that person is not, even though that person is intellectually superior than you, that person may not be able to guide you in the long run because of his or her own mental behavior. he is incapable of leading you to nirvana. So it's important to take to take refuge in a lama, or to take refuge in a guru, or to rely upon a guru that has both the spiritual experience as well as compassion towards you. The first instruction.
Và điều tiếp theo ở đây đó là 10 cái điều ở trong thầy nói rằng ở bản dịch còn nói rằng là 10 cái điều phải chúng ta cần phải nương tựa vào. Tuy nhiên thầy có giải thích thêm ở đây, đó chính là 10 cái điều mà chúng ta phụ thuộc vào, hay là 10 cái điều mà chúng ta cần phải quan tâm, hay 10 cái điều mà chúng ta cần phải đặt tâm và chú tâm của chúng ta vào. Và ở đây thì nói đến rằng chúng ta đó là nói về vị điều thứ nhất ở đây trong 10 điều này, tức nghĩa là chúng ta cần phải nương tựa vào một bậc đạo sư tâm linh mà có sở hữu đầy đủ bi và trí. Và ở đây cái câu này có nghĩa rằng chúng ta cần phải nương tựa vào một bậc thầy có một cái có đầy đủ cái trí tuệ, có đầy đủ cái hiểu biết. Tuy nhiên thì thầy nhấn mạnh rằng ở đây vị thầy này không chỉ có một vị đạo sư, không chỉ có một cái sự hiểu biết về mặt kiến thức, mà một vị đạo sư ở đây cần phải có một cái trải nghiệm về mặt tâm linh. Tức nghĩa là nói một cách khác thì đó phải là một đạo sư đã đạt được chứng ngộ. Và một bậc đạo sư chỉ đạt được chứng ngộ thôi, hay là một bậc đạo sư mà đạt được chứng ngộ thôi, hay có một kiến thức siêu việt hơn chúng ta thôi thì chưa đủ, mà một bậc đạo sư đó cần phải có cái tâm tốt lành và cái tâm từ bi, một cái tâm rất là kiên nhẫn để có thể hướng dẫn được chúng ta. Và nếu như thầy nói rằng nếu như một bậc đạo sư mà chỉ có kiến thức thôi thì chưa đủ, hay là có trải nghiệm thôi thì chưa đủ. Bởi vì là nếu như mà vị đạo sư đó mà lại chưa điều phục được tâm của mình thì cũng ví dụ như là chưa có thể kiên nhẫn giảng giải cho chúng ta chẳng hạn. Thầy dùng cái từ kiên nhẫn và tốt bụng đối với hướng dẫn chúng ta. Nếu mà bậc đạo sư đó lại chưa điều phục được cái cách hành vi hay cách cư xử của mình thì một bậc đó không thể dẫn dắt được chúng ta đến con đường giác ngộ, đến cái niết bàn hoàn toàn giải thoát được. Bởi vậy ở đây chúng ta cần phải nương tựa vào một bậc đạo sư tâm linh. Và một bậc đạo sư tâm linh ở đây là ngài vừa có đầy đủ phẩm tính tâm linh, vừa đạt chứng ngộ và vừa có cái tâm lòng bi mẫn đối với chúng ta, thì đó là bậc đạo sư chúng ta cần nương tựa.
Oh yeah. So that is the first instruction. Now the second instruction is that one should rely. One should rely upon an isolated place, pleasantly isolated. So this is important. So if it's isolated, but if it's an isolated place but an unpleasant one, then it will not be conducive to your practices. One thing that we should understand is like even though this is a practice that we these practices are the 10 practices, 10 instructions that one should pay heed to, one should be depending upon. These practices are basically aimed towards beginners, entry levels. So therefore, for a beginner practitioner like us, it's important that we the environment that we live in has to be conducive towards our practices. So it should, it has somewhat isolated, so isolation here stands for a number of things. It doesn't necessarily have to be a deserted place somewhere up in the mountain or in the desert or anything like that, but it can be a place where there aren't that much disturbances. So as long as you are free from any disturbances for your practice, then that place can be an isolated place for you, and it should be pleasantly isolated. So in the sense that you do not dread to go towards that place. So if you dread in going towards that place, then that place is no longer pleasant for you, and then if you dread in going towards that place, like for example, like a slaughterhouse, or something that you dread to going towards, maybe a dark, very dark place, or it can be anything that you dread. If you dread towards going to, if you dread in going towards that place, then that place is no longer pleasant for you, and then it whatever activities that you perform in that particular practice, be it meditation or anything, it makes you feel dreadful, and then you do not it will be very difficult for you to find joy in the practices that you do. So I mean, for a high level practitioner, it doesn't really matter where you are doing the practices. But for a beginner like us, it's important that we do it in an isolated place, a pleasantly isolated place, so that we are neither distracted nor neither we are distracted from the dreadfulness, or from the neither distracted nor depressed, not depressed from the dreadfulness of the place, and not distracted from the disturbances within the atmosphere. So we are free from both distraction and disturbances. So this is the second instruction, to be in an isolated place. Yeah. Now the third one is to rely upon an like-minded companion. And so like-minded in the sense that whatever practice that you are doing, that person is also comfortable, or better, even better, if that person has the same affinition towards the practice that you are doing, or it's someone that is compatible with the practice that you are doing, even if that person is not particularly excited about doing the practice, same practice as you are doing, but the person should be at least compatible with the practice that you are doing, and that would be a suitable companion. So think of that as an training partner, or maybe like, let's say a gym partner, for example. So when you are in the gym and you have a walking partner with you, if someone then that person actually motivates you to work out further. So this is the same thing. When you think of that as a spiritual gym partner, spiritual partner. So we're not necessarily talking about partner in the sense of a spouse, wife or husband. We're talking about any friends, any friends that common friends that is actually beneficial for your spiritual progresses. So if that person is like-minded, in the sense, for example, you believe in Mahayana and that person also believes in Mahayana practices, that's very good. But at least that person should not have any ill intention towards Mahayana practices. So if that person really doesn't like Mahayana practices, if you like Mahayana, if you have affinity towards Mahayana practices, but that person may not necessarily have affinity towards Mahayana practices, but is still comfortable with what you are doing, then it's okay. Then you can work together. But if that person really dislikes or disregards Mahayana practices, then it's difficult to work with that person for spiritual progress. So therefore, it's important to have a like-minded companion, so that you can progress. You can progress further spiritually. So the third instruction is relying upon a like-minded companion. Oh yeah. So this concludes today's teaching. I think it's been a little over 1 hour. So if you have any questions, please go on.